So yes, it has been a couple of months since my last video, and I do apologise, but you all know I'm a gamer first, collector second, and third comes YouTube, because YouTube requires me to have something that I need to show you, or something I need to tell you about. I also need the drive to put down the game that I'm currently playing, and at the moment, that game is Assassin's Creed Shadows. And if you want to see what I picked up over the last couple of months, well, you know what, let's watch some Assassin's Creed Shadows glitches. Good old fashioned Ubisoft jank.
While you still can.
So yes, Assassin's Creed Shadows is one of the games that has been taking up all of my time over the last week or so, and you're not here to hear me talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows. You want to see some of the games that I've picked up over the last couple of months. Now we're going to start as normal with the newer games and work our way back to that juicy retro at the end. So let's start with PS5 and a game that you definitely know I was going to pick up. It's Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. And of course I was going to pick this game up because I am a huge Yakuza fan, or a Like a Dragon fan if we're going to be giving it the proper Japanese title from here on in. And of course the second that I picked this game up, I had to pop it in, I had to play through it, and it's exactly what you would expect it to be. Now for anyone who doesn't know the Yakuza or Like a Dragon franchise, the main character in this particular game is Goro Majima, who is mostly a comic sidekick throughout the rest of the series. He is of course a fan favourite and a favourite of mine as well, so taking Mad Dog Majima and throwing him into a game where he's not only the lead, but he's the lead as a amnesiac pirate, well, it just couldn't go wrong, could it? And being a pirate game, yes, you do have naval pirate battles in this, so it's something new that's coming along to the Yakuza franchise. And although I won't say it's quite on par with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, it puts other pirate games or current pirate games to shame. So if you're a fan of the Like a Dragon franchise, then definitely you want to pick this one up. But if you've never dipped into the franchise before, then this is probably an interesting place to start. Maybe not the best, but certainly an interesting place with all the pirate and Goro Majima nonsense. So that's Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, coming into the collection where it will stay forever, along with all the other games in the Like a Dragon Yakuza franchise that I adore so much. Next up, still for the PlayStation 5, is yet another game that anyone out there who knows me will have known that I picked this up day one, and that of course is the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remasters. Now of course I've spoke plenty on Suikoden 1 and 2 over the course of the nearly 5 years that I've been on YouTube, so there's very little point about me talking about the game. What I will talk about is the HD remaster side of the game, and I'm going to give it a great big thumbs up. And that's quite simply because Konami have done what I absolutely hoped they would have done, and that was to do no more than give this game a little coat of paint so it plays well on modern HD screens, and maybe tweak the dialogue just here and there. But to be frankly honest with you, this plays almost exactly as it played on the PlayStation back in 1995 if you were lucky enough to get it in Japan, or 1997 for Suikoden 1 and 2000 for Suikoden 2 if you lived in PAL regions. So absolutely a big round of applause to Konami for taking an absolutely classic pair of games and doing nothing but what they needed to do to them to bring them to a modern audience. Now of course I have played through both of these already, and they definitely get my seal of approval. So if you're looking for a way to play Suikoden 1 and 2 in the modern era, then you can't do much better than this, so I heartily recommend you, if you haven't played them, definitely to get out there and get yourself a copy of these HD remasters, because we're talking about two classic JRPGs, probably possibly the very first 32-bit pixel art RPG. I might have to look into that, but I think Suikoden was definitely the first 32-bit pixel art JRPG. So yes, I don't want to keep going on about them. You can see the footage up on the screen, you can see how good it looks. It's aged like a fine wine, and Suikoden HD remasters into the collection where they'll remain forever, sitting beside the original games, and that's 1 through 5, including Tactics, on the other PlayStation systems ever released on. So get this bought, get it into your collection. It's absolutely god tier. Next up and last up for the PlayStation 5 is a game that sort of, or a pair of games I suppose, that came out of the blue for me. Wasn't something I was looking for, just happened to see it sitting in the local shop shelf and I had to pick it up, and it was this Retro Realms Halloween and Ash vs the Evil Dead. Now, I had heard of these releases because I do watch a lot of gaming on YouTube, despite the fact that I spend a lot of time gaming myself, but it wasn't a pair of games that really went onto my radar. However, I'm very nostalgic for 80s and 90s horror, so when I saw this just sitting there on a shelf begging me to buy it, there was no option for me but to pick it up, part with my hard-earned cash and get this into the collection. Now, of course, I have had a little playthrough. It's a wonderful 2D pixel art action platformer, or a pair of them anyway, highly gruesome for their graphical style, and the gameplay has some interesting mechanics where you switch in and out of the nightmare world. So Halloween and Ash vs the Evil Dead coming into the collection. I've played a little bit of both of the games, not normally my type of game, but I will get round to them again because they look short and sweet, or I hope they're short, and okay, they're probably not sweet bean, but they are. But it's into the collection where it will remain forever, and I'll play it at some point, or I'll play the whole game at some point. Next up, we're moving down a generation onto the PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 4 has sort of been where I've been focused for some reason, and I don't know why. It just so happened that the games out there in the wild were the games that I wanted into my collection on the PlayStation 4. And the first game for the PlayStation 4 coming into the collection is another compilation of games, because it's a Sega Mega Drive collection. Now, I do have the Sega Mega Drive collection for the PlayStation 4 digitally. I also have it physically for both the Switch and the PlayStation 3. But let's be fair, can you have too many ways to play classic Mega Drive games? Well, I say no to that. And with these compilations coming with over 50 classic games, they're an absolute no-brainer to have in any collection. And it was only a matter of time for me to see a copy of the Mega Drive classics in the PlayStation 4 out in the wild, for me to pick this up and get it properly, physically into the collection, where it will remain forever and it gets played on a regular basis on all the systems that I've got it for. Next up is another PlayStation 4 game that I have digitally on the PlayStation 4. I have it physically on the PlayStation 3 as well as digitally on the PlayStation 3, but I'm getting the physical PlayStation 4 port of the game into the collection, and that is Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. Now again, Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is a game that I've talked about on and off, not only on the channel but on a lot of comments and a lot of other YouTube videos where people have been talking about or asking about JRPGs that they must play, and Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is definitely up there with some of the best, and it's a must play if you want to play Japanese role-playing games. It is, of course, as many of you will know, also made in collaboration with Studio Ghibli. So even if the JRPG side of the game doesn't draw you in, but you're a fan of Studio Ghibli, then you definitely need to take a look at this game. It's not a terribly difficult game to get into, and if you're not used to JRPGs, I think this is one of the games where it might be a good idea to start, because it's a blend of turn-based and action combat. It's not an overly speedy game, you don't need lightning reactions, and there's not a great deal of numbers that you have to crunch to get the absolute most out of the game. So Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch on the PlayStation 4, physically, because let's face it, physical is always better. Coming into the collection, it's been far too long for me to get this in, but it's here now, it's in the collection, and yes, this gets played on a yearly basis. Every year, no doubt. Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch.
Come on!
So next up is another PlayStation 4 game, and it's a game that I should have got at launch. It's a bit of a Marmite game though, a lot of people out there dislike it and a lot of people out there like it. Me, however, have yet to play it, so I'm going to see what it's like to play The Order 1886. Now, as I said, I didn't play this when it first came out, and I haven't properly sat down with it yet. Yes, with most of my pickups, I'll sit down and give them an hour or so just to get a feel for them, especially if it's games that I haven't played before. And I'll be frankly honest with you, the little time that I spent with Order 1886 quite surprised me. I think I'm going to be on it. I quite like this side of the fence when it comes to this game. And the reason for that is quite simply, it seems like a fun little cover shooter. Now, when it comes to shooting in video games, first-person shooters sometimes give me motion sickness, so I do like a third-person shooter. You just don't get that many of them. So I'm quite disappointed in myself that I didn't pick up The Order 1886 when it first came out, because I think I'm going to thoroughly enjoy this game. But that's all besides the point now, because here it is, into the collection, The Order 1886. And yes, it will definitely get played, and I think I'm definitely going to be on the I quite like this game. And Sony, where's a sequel?
It's on the stairs.
Oh, they're shooting at me!
Escapee neutralized.
Push it!
Next up and stuff for the PlayStation 4 is a game that I haven't picked up, and I probably should have picked it up at launch, and I should have played this game already, and yes, I do say that a lot, but this game worried me because of how many different mechanics are in it. It is a JRPG, and it is Nier Automata. And yes, I will wholeheartedly put my heart on my sleeve here and say I completely avoided picking up Nier Automata purely for the fact of all the mechanics it seems to throw at you. Because not only is it a sort of JRPG hack and slash, it's also filled with horizontal and vertical shoot 'em up sections, and I'll be frankly honest with you, I did put this in, I did play for about an hour, and it is one of the weirdest games I've ever played in my life, but not weird in a bad way, weird in a good way, because yes, it does throw these mechanics at you. It starts off as a vertical shooter, slides into maybe a horizontal shooter, and then you're hacking slashing on a big traditional JRPG map. You've also got this little robot buddy who's shooting, or you're shooting with him, like a twin stick shooter. And as I said, this game, I kind of avoided it because of all the mechanics it threw at you, or what it seemed to throw at you, and I think it does throw a lot at you. What I have played, however, has been a lot lot of fun, and I'm really going to have to sit down and play this, but this is a game that I'm not going to be able to play when I'm playing other games, I don't think, and that is something that I do a lot. Currently I'm playing 3 different games just now, not just the Assassin's Creed Shadows, but with this one I think there's just so much going on. I think this is like 3 games in one, but Nier Automata, it's into the collection, it's been highly recommended by so many people, and you know who you are if you recommended me this game. It's into the collection now, and I will put aside proper time to sit and play this and get through, hopefully, because my goodness, the mechanics that this game throws at you, absolutely mind-blowing, but it's here now. So yes, this is Future Pixel, and while editing this video I noticed I done goofed, which just goes to show nobody's perfect. Not even me, but I'll let you spot the goof for yourself. Next up, in still PlayStation 4, we have a JRPG, and not only that, it's an Atlus game. You know me, I love Atlus, or I do now, ever since falling in love with Persona 5 way back in 2020, and I was first introduced to it, and as I said, we have Soul Hackers 2 from Atlus. So my own personal Atlus collection is growing along at a nice steady pace. Now yes, I only bought this because it was an Atlus game, and all Atlus games will eventually make it into my collection. But of course it's linked to the Shin Megami Tensei series, and it's a traditional turn-based combat JRPG, so I'm absolutely going to love this. I have sat down, played about an hour of it, it's exactly what I expected it to be, and this is the type of game that I'll be able to play alongside playing other games at the same time. I kind of quite like how it's a sort of artificial intelligence that's coming down to save humanity, or at least that's what I'm getting from the beginning of the game. That's what I seem to be getting from it anyway. And I like it's kind of modern and more adult than perhaps the Persona games. Don't get me wrong, absolutely love the Persona games. They are some of my favourite games of all time, but it's a nice little change of pace to see adult protagonists rather than the usual high school protagonists. So Soul Hackers 2 into the collection will get played. Will it get played before Nier Automata? Probably, because I reckon I'll be able to get through this one in short order. But it's in the collection now, ready to be played in full as soon as I give it its chance.
I'll leave this to you.
On.
Go for it, Ringo.
No data.
Go for it, Ringo.
No way. Too slow.
Okay, what with this
It's all
power?
you. You got it.
We can target the silent as snowfall. Nailed it!
Out of my way. Charge! So nerve.
Not easy that down.
Next up, and still for the PlayStation 4, is a game that has no right to come into my collection. It has no place in my collection, but I'm a sucker when it comes to collecting for unusual and maybe unique editions of games. And when I saw Clive and Wrench, this, I don't know, special edition, collector's edition, I just had to pick it up. Now, as I said, it's got no right in my collection. I am not a 3D platform sort of guy. I don't really collect 3D platformers, except from back in the day, the games that I have nostalgia for, but the modern ones I don't really. It is, however, a collector's item, and sometimes that'll pull me in, especially when you get it for under £10 cash. That was too much of a bargain to walk away from. It does have a soundtrack in there and a fridge magnet of all things, but it's a collector's edition. It's a PlayStation game. I had to come into the collection, it's as simple simple as that. I did play a little bit of it, and I'm going to say this about it. It's not only like a throwback in terms of the style of the game, it seems to be a throwback in the style of the jank of early 3D platformers as well. So if you want to really revisit 3D platformers, all that jank and sometimes clunk, then Clive and Wrench, maybe you want to give it a go, maybe you want to skip past it. But Clive and Wrench Collector's Edition into the collection, where unfortunately it will remain forever, and I will try and put more time into it, and only because Ross over at Bahaha picked this up and he says it does get better as you move along. We'll see, Ross. We'll see. Next up is another PlayStation 4 game that shouldn't be coming into the collection. It's not the type of game that I collect for, but again, like the Clive and Wrench, this was a special edition. This is a notorious edition of Saints Row. Now I do know that this particular game has killed Volition, and that is a shame, because you know what? I played the first hour or so of this game and I thoroughly enjoyed that opening tutorial mission. Now I don't know if it gets worse when it goes all open world like GTA, and that's one of the reasons that I didn't pick this up to start with. It's one of the reasons that I wouldn't have picked it up at all. I'm not really into the GTA games, unless you're talking the first ones on the PlayStation, Grand Theft Auto and Grand Theft Auto 2 in London, fantastic. Or if you're talking about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which is one of the best stories in video games. But as for the rest of the Grand Theft Auto games, I have no interest in neither their stories nor the mechanics in their gameplay. But this one, it seemed to tweak my interest after playing that tutorial mission, and maybe it's because there's so much more humour in the Saints Row games, or I'm assuming there is, because there was a fair amount of tongue-in-cheek in this. It wasn't taking itself seriously, and as I said, that's probably what drew me into that first hour of gameplay. So Saints Row Notorious Edition, no more, because Volition's gone. It's a lovely steelbook in there. It's into the collection, yes, and steelbooks will always suck me in regardless of the game. And you know what? I might actually play this at some time. I might, because the tongue-in-cheek humour didn't take itself too seriously. Yeah, I think it might be worth a go.
We know he's in the saloon. He can't stay in there forever.
What the fuck? Thanks for the ride. I'll see you around.
We need air support now. Stand down. We don't got time for hero bullshit.
Don't worry, I got this.
Gwen, we've got a problem.
Hang on. The cavalry's coming.
Shit!
Come out with your hands up!
Not today.
Oh, fuck!
Next up and last up for the PlayStation 4 is a game that's a double must to get into the collection. I've picked up a steelbook. It has the Atlas name attached to it, and it's what a steelbook this is. What a steelbook. It's Dragon Crown Pro. Now I think you can all see why I picked up this particular copy of Dragon Crown Pro. It's that absolutely gorgeous steelbook. It is a game that I was definitely going to be picking up anyway, because it's Vanillaware and of course published by Atlas, and anything that gets the Atlas seal of approval gets the Generation Pixel seal of approval. Now as for the gameplay itself, it's not exactly the style of RPG that I will tend to gravitate towards. However, with Vanillaware's unique art style and the Atlas seal of approval had to come into the collection, it's a game that I will get round to playing at some point, or at least playing a lot more than the hour or so that I've played just to capture footage for this. And I don't think anyone can deny that the graphical style of Vanillaware is something to behold, and Dragon's Crown Pro Steelbook is into the collection where it will be cherished and eventually played properly.
Said to have been made in a single night with powerful magic. It is a dangerous place, replete with traps. It bars entry to all who would dare.
Next up, we're moving away from PlayStation over to Nintendo, staying with the same generation, so the Switch, although the Switch 2 is coming out, and you know what? I don't normally put out thoughts about game consoles that are coming out, but the Switch 2, the specs didn't really impress me. I don't think I'll be dropping £400 come its launch, but hey, you know what? That's maybe for another video. Let me know down in the comments if you want my thoughts on the Switch 2. But back to the pickups, I did pick up a Switch game, as I said. It's a game that has been recommended to me by numerous people, and again, if you know who you are when you see what game it is, because that game is Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now this is a game that I didn't dip into for just an hour or so, because when I started playing this game just to have a look at it, it absolutely hooked me from the beginning. Now many of you out there will know that I do love JRPGs. I love tactical turn-based JRPGs, and that's exactly what this is, but that doesn't always give a game a free pass. This game, with no word of a lie, is probably going to be one of my top games played this year. It is, however, my first Fire Emblem game, so I know I have other games in the franchise to look back at, but if this is where Fire Emblem games are in relatively modern times, then I'm looking forward to going back and checking out some of the earlier stuff, and I'm most certainly looking forward to seeing where Fire Emblem goes in the future. But Fire Emblem Three Houses, I'm absolutely loving my time with this game. Haven't quite finished it yet. It's a game that I'm playing on the Switch, so that's not with me all the time, just maybe an hour or so a day. But yes, loving it. It's in the collection and it's getting played as we speak.
What's my strategy? It's over. It won't be in vain.
I do this for all of us.
Next up, we're moving down 2 generations, because yet again I haven't picked up any PlayStation 3 games. I know I'm a bad boy, I should be focusing on some more PlayStation 3, giving it the love it deserves, but I just seem to be finding nothing out there that I want for the PlayStation 3. So enough of that, we're moving down 2 generations onto the PlayStation 2, and the first game that I picked up for the PlayStation 2 is Rogue Ops. Now, first and foremost, I don't need any excuse to pick up any PlayStation 2 game, because if I see a PlayStation 2 game that I have never played out there, and we're not talking sports titles and the likes of that, I'm talking about a genuine PlayStation 2 game that I have never seen before, never played before, I'm going to pick it up anyway. Now, this particular game I saw getting played on a young lady's channel. I cannot remember her name, which is a shame, but there was 2 other games in that video, and all 3 games that she showed quite tickled the fancy. Now, this one is kinda clunky and janky get. It kind of takes you back to a PlayStation 2 Metal Gear Solid type game, but without the genius of Hideo Kojima or the incredibly large amounts of money that he had behind him at the time. This one, however, is dripping with 2000s cheese and jank, and I absolutely love that when it comes to PlayStation 2 games. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to take this game to its complete conclusion, by that I mean finish it, but I'll certainly spend more time with it and see just how much more cheese it's got in store. So that's Rogue Ops, and maybe look up some videos on it. It might be your cup of tea. It's certainly my cup of tea to see a 2000s janky, clunky, cheesy video game, especially on the PlayStation 2, but it's into the collection now and it'll get played at some point. Let's see how cheesy it can be. Next up, and still for the PlayStation 2, we have an arcade classic, or should I say we have a reboot sequel to an arcade classic, because we have a Spy Hunter 2. Now, I'm not going to make any arguments as to why I picked this game up. It's actually quite obvious, especially if you know me. Spy Hunter is a classic arcade game. It's a game that I grew up with in the 80s, and if you put that title onto a modern port, reboot, whatever, I'm certainly going to want to pick it up. Now, I do have the first Spy Hunter reboot, which is absolutely awful, but it's a Spy Hunter game, so it needed to come into the collection. It's a PlayStation 2 game. It needed to come into the collection, and pretty much the same with Spy Hunter 2. Now, I very rarely pick up games that I have no intention of playing all the way through, but when it comes to certain things, that's where the collector gene kicks in, and this is the type of game that I'm going to collect. Now, fortunately, with the likes of Atlas, where my collector's gene has kicked in, at least I'm getting a lot of fun gameplay experience from those. Spy Hunter 2, I don't reckon I will get a great deal of fun out of it, except for looking at it on the shelf beside Spy Hunter, and eventually Spy Hunter 3 or whatever it was called. It's the one with The Rock in it, I believe. But enough of that. Spy Hunter 2, despite all its faults and flaws, it's got to come into the collection. This, for me, is a collector's piece, and that's how sad the collection is.
Take out hostile towers. Entering extreme temperature rooms.
Next up and last up for the PlayStation 2 is yet another collector's gene kick in, but this time it's a game that I will get a lot of time out of because it's Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga. Now, I've never played this game before. I have heard it's a bit of a hidden gem when it comes to the Shin Megami Tensei games. Don't know whether that's because this was a Ghost-like game. I mean, it's still published by Atlas, and from what I played of it, it's got all that Atlas quality, so their seal of approval's on it, and that's good enough for me. Yes, it's a traditional turn-based Japanese role-playing game, so even if it wasn't an Atlas game, it would have made its way into the collection sooner or later. But of course, with that Atlas stamp on it, it was a must-have for the collection as well as a must-play game. Again, as with many of these pickups, I haven't played them all the way through, but I have put a little bit of time into the beginning just to get the flavour of the game, and this one didn't disappoint from the start. Very narrative heavy at the beginning, but you know what? I play video games for the narrative aspect of them. You give me a good story and I'll stay with your game right to the end, and Digital Devil Saga is certainly going to get played. But here it is, into the collection now, where it can be played at my leisure, and I'm looking forward to getting round to this one.
Don't come any closer. No. Stay back. Don't eat me, please.
Harley, what are you saying?
You murdered them and ate them all! You all turned into monsters! And then you devoured all of my men! That light, that weird light, shot right through us. And then everyone started freaking the hell out!
Don't!
Everyone started attacking each other! You ripped them apart with your bare hands! And then...
Stop! Be quiet!
Help me!
Shut up!
Next up, we're moving away from the PlayStation 2, we're moving away from Sony, and we're moving on to Nintendo, because we're going to be looking at some expensive Nintendo cardboard. Now, expensive Nintendo cardboard is not something that I pick up, it's not something I look for, nothing I track down. I have no real interest in it whatsoever, and I don't care what Tutti thinks. Nintendo cardboard collecting is crazy, but I have picked up some expensive Nintendo cardboard, and it's not what you're going to expect, because it's the same generation as PlayStation 2, it's the GameCube, and it's Resident Evil 4, the Evil Edition. Now, as I said, this can be quite pricey to pick up for a piece of cardboard, because let's face it, the game inside this cardboard sleeve is just a regular game. I've seen this game go up online from anywhere from £100 to £200, and that is almost entirely down to the cardboard sleeve. Now, if you know me, you're probably asking yourself, why did you buy such an expensive game, especially when it's a game that you don't like? Well, quite frankly, the only port of Resident Evil 4 that I don't own is the GameCube one, and I've just been waiting for a good copy, and this definitely fits the bill of a good copy. However, despite the game's price on eBay, I managed to pick this up for the sum total of £10 sterling. So £10, that's what, $12? I think I managed to snatch a bargain. Now, I don't care about the cardboard sleeve, not in the slightest. I was only buying it for the game, but to get it in this special limited Evil Edition case, well, that was just a bonus, especially since I just paid the going rate for the game. So as you can see here, Resident Evil 4 special limited edition Evil case into the collection, where it will stay forever, and I might never play this particular disc. Might not. I don't know. It might be hard to twist my arm to play the game that ruined Resident Evil, or the franchise for me anyway, but it's in the collection now, which pretty case. Now, next up, we're moving down a generation and we're moving back to Sony, so we're talking PlayStation, the OG, and the first game that I picked up is definitely a collector's gene. And you know what, I'm going to mention Tutti again, because it was Tutti that put me onto this, who put me onto spine numbers, and I'm looking to hunt down 1 to 10, maybe 1 to 12 now actually, but 1 to 10 of the first games released in PAL. I have knocked another one off the list, and it's Destruction Derby. Now, I'll be completely honest with you, didn't play Destruction Derby back in the day. I did play Destruction Derby 2, which I absolutely loved, but the first game I wasn't introduced to it, and the only time I've ever played it is when I played it to capture some gameplay footage for this video. Now, I think if you want this game into your collection because it's one of the first 10 PAL games released, then that's an acceptable thing to pick this game up for. If you want to pick it up for its gameplay, it's not a patch on the second game. It's quite basic, the physics aren't quite as fun as the second game, and what I'm trying to say to you is this is a collector's piece. If you want the first early games, the launch games for the PlayStation, then this is a game that you're going to want to pick up. You want to have it in your collection. You're not going to want to have it in your collection because it's a great game. Now, I'm not saying if you have nostalgia for this game, you won't want it in your collection, and if you do have nostalgia for this game, that's fantastic, because I'm sure there's 100 games that I have nostalgia for that people would love to tear to shreds, and rightly so. But Destruction Derby, the first game, it was a sort of of groundwork for the second game, which is far better. Haven't played Raw, which was the third one. I might get into that at some point, but to satisfies my needs, it sates me on the Destruction Derby kick, need, drive, whatever you want to call it. But Destruction Derby is purely in my collection because it's one of the first 10 games released in PAL regions for the Sony PlayStation, and that's where it will sit beside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I believe I have 8 of them now. 2 to go. Probably the difficult ones to track down. Next up, another PlayStation game, and it's a game I just had to pick up because of the main character. It's a character that you've got to love if you grew up in the 80s and came through the 90s playing video games, because it's Duke Nukem Land of the Babes. And yes, this is a woefully bad game. We're taking Duke Nukem into a third-person shooter. And you know what? I quite like the fact that they took Duke Nukem into a third-person shooter, because especially early FPS games, first-person shooter games, gave me motion sickness. So any game that gave me a character to focus on absolutely took away the motion sickness. And Duke Nukem Land of the Babes is a third-person shooter. It just happens to be absolutely awful. So you're asking me why is it in my collection? Well, Duke Nukem belongs in everybody's collection, and if there's any Duke Nukem games that you can get out there, get them into your collection just for the sake of saying that you have as many Duke Nukem games as you can possibly get your hands on. Well, that's a good thing. Collector's gene again, but it happens from time to time. But Duke Nukem Land of the Babes into the collection, where it will sit beside the other Duke Nukem games, and better Duke Nukem games at that. Next up and last up for the PlayStation, we have a game that I had to bring into the collection because one, now I believe it was Champion 2D Rob who does nothing but bang on about this game, I'm not sure. So Rob, if it wasn't you, I apologise, but in my head, this was you. It's a game that's coming in because of the style of game it is. It's a minigame game, it's for the PlayStation, it's a very Japanese game, it's Bishi Bashi Special. Now, I'm an absolute sucker when it comes to Japanese games, and by that I mean games that embrace Japanese sentiment when it comes to the absolute crazy wackiness of video games. And Bishi Bashi Special is certainly one of those games. I mean, you just have to look at the box art, and if you don't want to buy the game because of that, then I think there's something wrong with you. It is just a selection of mini games. It's games that you can play with your friends, and you know what, back in the early PlayStation era, friends used to sit side by side and play video games with each other, and it's something that you don't see enough of these days. So Bishi Bashi Special coming into the collection, and it's so maybe that in hope I can get a friend to sit beside me on the couch and play some crazy Japanese minigames on my classic PlayStation console.
Attention!
So there you go, my friends, that was my pickups from the last 2 months, and what did you think of them? Any of the games in there that you have in your collection already, or any games that you want into your collection? Let me know down in the comments, because the interaction between you and me, well, that's what makes YouTube special. It does for me anyway. It's why I put out these videos, to talk to you. If you want to tell me any of the games that I've picked up are absolute garbage, well, I know some of them are absolute garbage. And if you want to tell me some of the games need fired into the sun and forgotten for all time, then that's good too. Thank you very much as always for watching, and until next time, as always, cheerio.